Aren't y'all glad that love came calling for us? Now, last month when I was up here, I was talking to y'all about the press, about pressing in, and how that, last year, right before Christmas, the Lord was showing me, even before Pastor Allen declared this was the year we would know him as Lord of the harvest. And right now, as I look back, I am so thankful that I had so many challenges last year, because those challenges are what caused me to press in to know him as Lord of the harvest. But one of the points that I didn't hit last week was with a woman with the issue of blood in Mark, was it chapter 2? Chapter 5, thank you. Anyway, is she was, when she was out at a distance, because she had to cry unclean. She couldn't be close to people. When she was crying out unclean, she was so far from her miracle. She was so far. And today I think we still do that. We look and we say, unclean. And we forget that it's his righteousness that paid the price and not ours. But the other thing is that as she got into the press, that's when she knew she was right on top of that miracle. Over and over again, where Jesus was, there was a crowd. You had to press. And you didn't get to him without the press. So if you're in a press this morning, if I were you, I think I'd start dancing. Now, the other thing is, when you look at that story, if you back up a few verses, and I keep thinking I'm going to have this nice exhortation where I stand in front of the pulpit, but it's not today. The other thing, and John, I'm going to pick on you today, because you're like my big brother, and that's what this is about. When the woman with the issue of blood came calling, when she came to reach out to Jesus, Jairus was already with Jesus. Jairus was on his way. Jairus was on his way to the promise. But he got delayed. Because, see, Jesus, he went and was dealing with the woman with the issue of blood, and Jairus is going, hey, what happened? So Jairus had to learn how to be patient and how to hold on, even when things didn't look right. But now when Jesus got through with a woman with the issue of blood, he turns around and he says, don't fear, just believe. So then Jairus is back on his way to the promise. But he had to learn that. I'm done. Thank you. And, there's one other story where we see a press. And that was, because I looked this word up in Strong's, and I found it real interesting that the word press comes from a derivative of the word vehicle. Yeah, that press is the vehicle. But anyway, when you get to the story of the paralytic, the man that was paralyzed, he couldn't press. He had to have some friends that would press not with him, for him, because he couldn't press anymore. No, they had to press through. Now you gotta put your, as Louise Brock would say, you gotta put on your video glasses for this one. You gotta picture this: four guys trying to carry dead weight, paralyzed man up to the top of the roof. Then you got to picture them looking at that roof saying, if we tear this roof up, we either have to repair it or we have to pay somebody else to repair it. So are we willing to pay that price? But they tore that roof off and they lowered him down. Now, I have been the paralytic, so beaten down that I couldn't press for myself. But by the grace of God, I had friends who were willing to press in for me. And because I had friends who were willing to press in for me, I became that friend who would press in for someone else. And because I have had the joy of seeing someone else get their freedom, get their deliverance. So, and being one of those four and having someone else press for me, I have gone to even higher and deeper levels of freedom because I had friends like this man. And yes, unfortunately, I have been Jairus. I have been the one that got delayed and looked over and said, that unclean thing got in my way. Because he was a leader. She was unclean. And I have been Jairus. Who does she think she is? I've been working this. I've been working this. I've been standing on the word for years. And look at that. She just now come in. So when you're undone by that undeserving outcast, just remember, you used to be that one. Now, just before I go into the exhortation, or, the confession, that's it. I'm getting good at forgetting words, but I'm going to remember because I have the mind of Christ. I want to share with you a little bit of a testimony because talk about a suddenly. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am about the suddenlies I've had in the last 6 weeks. It's blowing my mind. A couple of weeks before the last time I did exhortation, my brother started going to church with his cousin because it's a small church. They don't really have a children's ministry, but my brother is now in church. Now, he got in church with his cousin who used to party with him years ago. So then, my mom has 3 cousins she ran around with when she was a little girl. And we were really close to that side of the family. One of them had married an atheist. Guess who's in church and serving God today? Both of them. Now, the other 2 are on their way. They just don't know it yet. But the one of them, her husband just went home to be with the Lord last Saturday, Sunday. He had been a lifelong alcoholic, and that's probably why I didn't know them as well as I did the others. But because my mom got fired up, and because Linda and her atheist husband got fired up, guess who entered the kingdom before he entered the kingdom? And as if that were not enough, when God started showing me about seed, this is your seed, this is God, it was almost like he took me on a video of my life. Said, this is your seed, this is your harvest, this is your seed, this is your harvest. The very first seed that God showed me was as a little girl, I gave a coat away. A coat. And I was riding around with my mom this last week. And she said, you're never going to believe the deal I got. Now, you have to keep in mind, this is my mom, and I know if there is an anointing to shop and for good deals, she has it. So she said, you're never going to believe the deal I got. She said, I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and she said, I knew it. It was authentic, and it was a mink coat made in Italy. But it's just a little bit too big for her. Guess what's getting shipped out this week to me? Now, this is why I got so excited. The coat was the first seed that I saw. This is the first harvest that I see. So, that's right. Because I got so much more on the way because I know what God showed me. And see, I got it because, number one, I was willing to press in. And number 2, I had friends who were willing to press in for me when I couldn't press in. So, according to Galatians 6:9, confession time. According to Galatians 6:9 and 2 Thessalonians 3:13, I will not be weary in well-doing, because I know I will reap in due season if I refuse to give up. Like Paul in Philippians 3, I will press on to lay hold for that which Jesus has also laid hold of me, because he's already paid for the promise. He has already met every requirement, and it is already mine. Like the woman with the issue of blood, I will press in with no fear of what those around me think. Like Jairus, when his promise was delayed, I will continue steadfast, immovable, knowing that he who has promised is faithful. I will be a friend like those of the paralytic, and I will press in for my brother and my sister when they cannot press in for themselves.